and reconnecting with the band of sisters was a great proof point of don't let these relationships go with the jobs. Like, keep them in your life because you never know how they're going to play out going forward. So
the one piece of advice I would share is to follow the money. And this is in your workplace, and this is not the money that you are getting paid. This is how the money flows through an organization, because I think all too often women are they're less connected to how power and decisions get made in an organization. And if you understand where and how money comes in and where and how money goes out, then you will be that much smarter, that much better able to do your job, and that much more successful.
Don't do what we did. So what we did was, and I'll talk specifically about all these micro moments that are the subject of our book. We just sort of we'd roll our eyes, we'd grin and bear it, and we sort of go along to get along. And, the power structure, it was, pretty much, cisgender white men who were running corporate America. And we sort of we knew you couldn't bring these things up. And so we just dealt with them. We didn't have the language to talk about them. We didn't realize that we could bring allies in to help us. We didn't realize there were other people of power who could help have some of those uncomfortable conversations. So we literally we rolled our eyes, we dealt with it, and bricks and rocks just kept just being put onto our shoulders. And I feel like sometimes when I was exhausted in 30 plus years in corporate America, it wasn't because it was long hours and it wasn't because it was intellectually intense. It was because of all these other things. And so I would just encourage young women, don't just sort of sit with it and assume that it has to be so. You can use the power of your own voice, the voice of your allies, and the voice of people with power to help make those microaggressions just go away one by one.
Don't assume that good work is just going to speak for itself. In the educational setting, that certainly is the case. In the work world, not necessarily. I think be aware of the informal networks, whether it's with men or women, are really important. It's the conversations that you're having over lunch and dinner, or walking to meetings, or traveling, or golfing. And I feel like that's where the bonds are built and the trust is built. And I think guys are men are better at doing that. They're naturally, whether in the locker room together, playing basketball, there's a lot more opportunity. Sometimes women are not invited into those, and it's harder to kind of get invited and feel comfortable doing it. But I think that is very important. And I think that I wish I would have put more emphasis on that earlier versus just thinking I'm going to put my head down and get stuff off my to-do list, before the meeting started, when they were talking about the Bears game. I was like, well, I'm going to be just, getting stuff done. And I would have been better served to have gotten to the conversation and build up credibility and momentum with them than the approach I took initially.
I have a perspective on my career journey that's much clearer in hindsight than it was in foresight. And it is about it's not just the experiences that you're collecting, but it's about the relationships that you're collecting along your journey. And if I could give a message to young women starting out today, is to think about each place you're working, not just as the work that you're doing, but the people that you're meeting. And if I look back, I see a big collection of really treasured relationships. And I wish I had stayed closer with some of the people that I had met along the way, and reconnecting with the band of sisters was a great proof point of don't let these relationships, go with the jobs. Like, keep them in your life because you never know how they're going to play out going forward.